What's up, everybody? It's finally the day of Season 3 of Warzone, which means Rebirth Island, which so many of us are so excited for, especially being old Warzone 1 players. People are coming back to the game. Super big day for Warzone, and I hope it goes well. Patch notes are out now, but before we go through those, just want to mention I will be live tonight with the new update, trying out the new weapons. Of course, playing Rebirth Island, maybe going and seeing the Urzikstan bunkers. We'll see. But this will be linked down below. My Twitch is linked down below, so read the patch notes for yourself if you want, and then tonight, come check out me on Twitch. Let me know in the chat what you want to see, what you want me to do, what weapons you try. But without further ado, let's run through this. So we got roadmap stuff, and of course, anything that was in the intel drop, I'm going to skim over, and I'll have my intel drop video and that blog post linked down below as well, so you can go check that out for yourself. Warzone, maps, returning map, Rebirth Island, we know that. We got bioweapons, chemical engineering, industry, which used to be decon station in my intel video. I was like, I can't remember if that had a name or not. It does, decon station. Even says former chemical contamination center. Harbor, prison, water tower, factory, headquarters, lighthouse, control center, dock, living quarters, and stronghold. In strikes, in season, this is something that was new, where later in the season there's going to be events randomly in games where an airstrike comes in and strikes something while people are infilling. That could be the lighthouse, which will fall over and give a pathway up to prison. It'll hit the prison roof potentially, and that'll collapse the roof into the prison, make a giant hole. And then water tower, the water tower over by decontamination station on that side of prison can also be struck and fallen. New modes, Warzone Boot Camp. It's just a 20-player and 24-bot lobby that has super limited XP. You can't advance challenges, and it's just a practice mode for people learning. Returning Rebirth Resurgence, 44 players, it's Rebirth Resurgence. Vehicles will be enabled for Rebirth Island Resurgence later in Season 3, so there's no vehicles currently starting today. Our playlist for this week is going to be Ranked Play, Trios, Rebirth Island, Plunder, Quads, Battle Royale, all modes on Urzikstan, Resurgence, all modes on Rebirth Island, fine by me. General Squad Play bonus is a new thing where if you land, this player system rewards with additional player weapons, battle pass experience for players' consecutive matches with squad mates. So this is actually something that wasn't talked about. I was confusing this with the landing in stuff. If you continue to play with the same players, you get bonus progression for consecutive matches. So, I mean, that's really good if you play with the same squad all night. Players queued with squad fill enabled. Okay, so this is just with randoms. Players at least one friend in their party. The player queued with stayed with squad enabled. Okay, so that is just with random. Cinematic and infill improvements. We increase the amount of time players are on the screen to improve the overall flow and better showcase player operators, and pick 5 challenges. Players may now select up to 5 challenges for easier tracking. That's already in the game. I don't know why that's listed. Gameplay, all maps, all modes, buy station shuffle. We've adjusted the buy station locations to increase new combat scenarios and strategies. Just when you remember them, they move them. Squad assemble, new mechanic on infill squads that touch ground with certain. That's what I was referring to with that play together thing. Within close proximity of one another will be rewarded with additional experience. Urzikstan Vondel Battle Royale, Climb and Punishment, the new Gulag public event where 2 ladders will drop down and you can decide to still fight each other or to just both climb out the ladders. In addition to redeployment, players are rewarded with $3,500 in cash for using the new mechanic. Rebirth Island biometric scanners. You just go hit one of these scanners, you can get a certain rarity key card, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, polyatomic, Orion, and then it just gives you stuff in the buy station. The better cards you get gives you better rewards in the buy station. Smart displays are just going to be screens that's showing around Rebirth Island that show a high activity rate, which POI has a large population, the first player to reach 10, 15, and 25 eliminations, and what players have biometric scanners. Spy drones is a new contract on Rebirth. You just go to the location and shoot down the spy drones. They drop loot up to an advanced UAV, and other players can steal the loot. Stage weapons, similar to previous iteration of Rebirth, we've included a series of hand-selected locations across the island that have a chance of spawning high-quality weaponry for players to find. Like how there was I think it was a car or a Swiss on top of the lighthouse in old Warzone 1, stuff like that. They have stuff like that on Vondel as well. Squad Rage is a new field upgrade. It's Battle Rage, but it applies to all squad members within a certain proximity. We'll see if that's any good. Resurgence Champions Quest. Expect the greatest Resurgence challenge conceivable as players must reduce 3 massive Resurgence timers within a very limited time. Unforgiving, this quest will leave no room for mistakes. That's the first Champions Quest I've really been interested in, and that's just because I love Rebirth so much. Adjusted all maps, all modes. Ground loot. Molotovs, thermites, and EMD grenades have been removed from the ground loot. Interesting. No one really uses the EMD grenade, so that's not a big deal. The Molotovs and thermites are interesting. We're taking this opportunity to refine the loot experience and ensure that each item has a unique role to play. Those removed from loot will still be accessible in the loadout, and we plan to make a further pass to the functional purpose of each item in the future. But Molotovs and Thermites are really good if all of a sudden you come across a riot shooter and you run like throwing knives, and you can't find a Semtex. Thermites and Molotovs also both obviously take care of riot shooters. Supply UAV killstreak improvements added a new functionality that highlights supply boxes through walls. Now only displays legendary and favorite supply boxes through map noise. Makes sense. So no more white boxes on there. I don't know what that means for caches, because caches are highlighted as legendary boxes. I assume it'll still show caches. Urzikstan all modes. Heavy chopper balance C4 damage to Palfa increased. Joker damage increased. Semtex damage increased. Frag damage increased. Full refuel and repair time increased to 70 seconds. Max fuel time decreased to 190 from 210. The heavy chopper has been a force to be reckoned with, often over-rewarding those hunkered down within. With the above changes, the pilot now needs more regular and longer refuel sessions. We're also rewarding expert use of C4 and Joker against the vehicle itself. Urzikstan Gulag loadout refresh. Gulag loadouts have been updated. New weapons, the FJX Horse submachine gun, ultra combat SMG with best-in-class CQ damage and mobility. Reminds me a lot of few weapons we've had in the past, like the MAC-10. More sniper rifle. The single load railgun delivers a high damage payload with excellent velocity and penetration. Looking like a one-shot sniper. Some people that played Rebirth Island, it seemed to be one shot at a better range than the Stalker, but less than the Cat. And it's interesting because it's one shot at a time, but it reloads as fast as people rechamber with the other two snipers. So super interesting gun. Can't wait to try that one out. Gladiator melee weapon. It's a melee weapon. Aftermarket parts. Jack Cutthroat weekly challenge unlock. 3D printed stock provides unrivaled combination of speed and stability while aiming down sights to the MCW, MTZ, M4, AMR, just those ones. Jack Revenger kit for the BP-50 turns it into an SMG essentially with a 9mm conversion and a high capacity magazine. Jack Jawbreaker for the KV broadside turns it into a hard-hitting automatic battle rifle. I'm sure the recoil is going to be insane and it's probably just not going to be worth it, but super interesting. Jack Shadow Titan Bruin MK9 compact and integrally suppressed light support chambered in 300 blackout, so it makes it like an SMG sniper support type weapon. General adjustments decreased obstructive visual effects while firing MW2 weapons to align with MW3 standards. Unless I scroll down and there's a buff, it's not going to matter. But they just don't kill fast enough. If they do, I'll be excited because I'm just about done unlocking Bioluminescence. I was about to do a Modern Warfare 2 only stream. Removed variants from ADS idle sway, allowing a predictable sway pattern. Our next step towards improving the responsiveness and accuracy of aiming across all input devices in Modern Warfare 3 arrives in Season 3. As previously detailed, the mechanic discourages players from holding their sights for an extended period of time with a constant, subtle motion that introduces light and accuracy. In today's update, we've removed the variants from ADS idle sway, resulting in a predictable and consistent motion curve. This change raises the skill ceiling and rewards players who take time to master their favorite weapons. But if it's a predictable curve, that'll be a lot more like Warzone 1, and that helps M&K out a lot without having aim assist. Anyways, on to the weapon adjustments. I like these new graphics. RAM 7, max damage decrease, near mid damage decrease, max damage range decrease, head modifier decreased, and neck modifier decreased. That looks like it's going to take it out of the meta because it wasn't good at minimum damage range, the long range. It was good at close and mid damage range, and both of those with the max and near mid got decreased. So this should take this out of the meta. DG56 increased sprint to fire time. Remember that meta? That one was frustrating. Lockman 556, max damage increase, near mid damage increase, neck modifier increase, upper torso modifier, arm and hand modifier increase. Lockman 556 meta, MW2 meta incoming. M13C from Modern Warfare 2, max damage range increase, up close. FR Advancer, arm and hand modifiers, and Tempest Razorback, max damage increase, arm and hand modifiers increase. Fast B, decreased rate of fire, decreased recoil center speed. The Jack Outlaw kit, max damage decrease, near mid damage range decrease, head modifier decrease, upper torso and arms modifier decrease, decreased sprint to fire time, decreased aim down sight time, and decreased aim down sight rate of fire penalty. So they nerfed the time to kill for the Bass B overall with this RPM adjustment, and then they nerfed the Outlaw kit's damage, near mid damage range, and some modifiers, and then increased its handling. MTZ 762, max damage decreased, near mid damage decreased, but still the same for long range. S-Way Subverter, max damage range decreased, near mid damage range decreased, so it'll still be the same for long range. increased sprint to fire time, and increased aim down sight time. And the Sidewinder, decreased sprint to fire time and increased bullet velocity. They're really trying to make people Sidewinder. Maybe I'll try it out later. Ram 9, max damage decreased sprint to fire time. So it handles better, but it won't kill as fast up close. AMR 9, max damage decreased, min damage decreased, near mid damage decreased, max damage range decreased, near mid damage range decrease, and decreased sprint to fire time. So again, slowed the time to kill, and but improved the handling. Rival 9, increased sprint to fire time, so that is a nerf. HRM 9, increased sprint to fire time, so it's a nerf, but didn't touch the time to kill. So I expect the HRM 9 will definitely be the top dog now. Striker, increased sprint to fire time, so they made the handling a little worse, but I expect this to jump the Ram 9 and the AMR 9, or maybe the Striker 9, shout out to Breakfast Pod. Max damage range increased, and increased sprint to fire time, so once again, handling a little worse, but extended the damage range. WSP 9, increased sprint to fire time. Needs a buff to be into the meta. WSP Swarm, increased sprint to fire time. MX9, near mid damage increased, and max damage range increased. Interesting. Still don't think it'll be quite meta. Lockman Sub, max damage range increased, and max damage increased, and max damage range increased. So that could find its way into the meta. And then the Bass P, max damage increased as well. LMGs, Bruin MK9, minimum damage decreased, so that's long range, and decreased aim down sight time. So once again, handling better, killing slower. Attack Eradicator, max damage increased. So that's just up close. Attack Evolver, increased sprint to fire time and aim down sight time, so that's worsening the handling. And the 5.56 belt magazine decreased the rate of fire. The Rep H, an old former favorite of mine from the last game. Upper torso and neck modifier and arm and hand modifiers both increased. Still probably won't find its way into the meta with that buff. HCR 56, max damage range increased, arm and hand modifiers increased, leg modifier increased. Royale MG, increased sprint to fire time and increased aim down sight time. So that's actually a nerf. So I don't really see much meta changing here other than the Bruin MK9 is possibly out of the meta now, but that won't really change. Tempest Torrent, marksman rifles, max damage decrease. Weapons XRK Stalker, increased aim down sight time. Ooh, I hate that. That sucks. Because I really like that gun, and that's not huge, but significant, 20 milliseconds. KV Inhibitor, increased aim down sight time. SPX 80, increased sprint to fire, increased aim down sight time. Renetti, max damage range increased. The conversion kit's really good. I was thinking about making some content on that. WSP Stinger, Akimbo, Stinger, rear grip, increased rate of fire for that as well, but the mags are just too small. Attachments, heavy bolts, added initial aim accuracy benefit to all heavy bolts for sniper rifles. Still going to use the fast bolts. Cronin Intlast, MS12 optic. Lasers no longer visible to enemies at the hip. That's a 2x optic with a laser on it. SL Laser Hawk. Flashlight is no longer visible to enemies at the hip. And lasers no longer visible to enemies. That's a huge buff. CS15 Scarlet Laser Box. Lasers no longer visible. Verdant Hook Box Laser. Lasers no longer visible at the hip. BT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor Muzzle. So the suppressor muzzle that everyone uses. Increased sprint to fire time penalty. Not a big deal because you're using that long range. L4 Flash Hider, decreased horizontal recoil benefit. That's pretty big. DR6 Hand Stop, decreased aim down sight movement speed benefit by 3 to 4% depending on weapon class. Boo. Bruin Heavy Support Grip, decreased horizontal recoil control benefits to 8% down to 12%. So that helps stocks even more. The Bruin Heavy Support does have firing stability, which is very important, but the recoil benefit's not nearly as strong. So I expect to see more and more people move off of that in favor of stocks and replacing it with an optic, or if you don't need an optic, keeping it, I guess. Adjustment Lethal Semtex, Lethal Equipment Semtex damage radius decreased, outer damage increased. EOD will now prevent the victim from going down when stuck with a Semtex. Interesting. I think if you get stuck, you should always go down. Semtex has been a dominant choice for quite some time. With these changes, we are looking to provide more opportunities for other grenades to be a fair pick. Still going to use them. Reacher Drone, damage radius increased, outer damage decreased, inner damage decreased, drone velocity increased. Not going to use them. Claymore, outer damage increased, inner damage increased. Molotov, phase 1 burning damage increased, phase 2 burning damage increased, and phase 3 burning damage increased. Interesting. Probably not going to use them. Dro Charge, burrowed, outer damage and inner damage increased. Not burrowed, outer damage, inner damage increased. And round, so the under barrel, outer damage, and inner barrel damage increased, but unless you stick someone, it's not really going to matter. Thermo Bear Grenades, outer damage increased, mid damage increased, inner damage increased. I would really like to see that lose its stun effect, but then it would just be like another Molotov or Thermite. Prox Mine, when triggered by a player, damage outer increased, damage inner increased, and when triggered by damage inner increased, but So it shouldn't knock you with 1 procs, but I miss when we could just prone under them. C4 radius increased to 7.8 up from 6.5. Detonation delay decreased. Damage inner increased. Damage outer increased. And velocity increased to 600 up from 425. So does that mean we can throw them even further before meta back, possibly? Tactical equipment, especially with that 275 inner damage range. Tactical equipment, snapshot grenade, outline duration increased to 5 seconds. Outline radius increased to 15 meters, up from 9.5. Will now require line of sight. Snapshots will now persist their outlines if victim is in smoke. Battle Hardened will counter this. The line of sight thing's interesting, which means it doesn't work through walls like it used to. So I don't, if it worked through walls, I think we would see a snapshot meta return, which we did have for a little bit. But not working through walls makes it not quite worth it. Within the current ecosystem of equipment, we want to provide opportunities for counterplay. With smokes being a dominant item, the snapshot will now act as a direct counter. With this change, we have required snapshots have a line of sight when they perform the snap to reveal enemy players. It's not going to be worth using in smoke. Ping them before they go into smoke or shoot randomly until you find somebody. I think continue to be the move while people continue to run. Scatter mine, outer damage decreased, inner damage decreased. I mean, that thing's so useful. Useless. The mine will now debuff players' movement for 3 seconds when they're hit by a mine. Fringe will debuff players and unable to sprint, slide, or jump. Movement speed decreased. Kill streaks, mosquito drone. The attack delay of the active drone increased. This provides more time between when the drone sees you, activates audible sound, and then flies to its attack destination. The radius and height of the drone patrols have been slightly increased to perform better and create less issues with geometry below the drone. The drone's targeting has been widened slightly to provide better coverage within the patrol radius. The visual for the kill streak on the maps will now be a static circle showing the danger safety areas. Interesting. So a big nerf to the mosquito drones. Not to man, they did buff the damage radius, but now we're going to see the radius. An outer damage decreased and inner damage decreased. Destroyed damage radius increased to 2.5 meters from 1.3. Destroyed outer and inner damage increased to 110. We've heard feedback both internally and externally that the mosquito drone inside of Warzone felt inconsistent and unpredictable at times. With these changes, we are creating a clear definition of danger zones. Further, we have tuned the timing and damage of this drone to better allow reflective and predictive movements targeted by the drone. Good upgrades armor box, reduced the number of armor plates supplied to 4, down from 6. Additionally, we've reduced the price of the armor plate in the buy station from 500 to 3. Whatever. I mean, I would prefer to just leave the armor box the way it was, but whatever. I always end up with too many. Warzone ranked resurgence, same rules as Fortune's Keep resurgence, so we're going to go and skip through this. Spawn protection reduced to 2.5 seconds, but I think that was the same for Fortune's Keep. Same ban list, Rebirth Island updates, placement star challenges, placement reward, SR challenges, kill, and SR assist, death fees, and SR challenges have been adjusted for the new max player count on Rebirth Island. This is something, again, if you want to read through this stuff, you can read through it for yourself, but nothing huge to necessarily worry about. Here's the numbers here. If you want to look at them yourself, pause if you want to go through that. I'm not going to worry about it. Final placements, once again, you can pause here if you're going to read through, if you want to read through that. Don't know if I love ranked resurgence, but it's Rebirth Island, so maybe I'll love it more. Let's see if we'll be heading when spectating an enemy squad in your final RSL. Are we showing breakdown season challenges or these are blah blah blah. Here's your season challenges. Pause if you want to read those. Death fees. Here you go. Pause if you want to read that as well. Reminder: you can't lose more SR than your deployment. So redeploy fees won't go past losing this much SR. Breakdown, end of season skill setback, top to ranks, Warzone ranked resurgence rewards. Once again, you can read through all this if you want for yourself. Competitive integrity features. Another thing you can read through for yourself. I don't think they talked about it, but they did tweet out that they are keeping an eye on the boosting accounts, and the boosting accounts are going to be punished by getting all of their SR reset. UI UX operator filters allows player to filter the operators and operator screen by status games and sort them by default, newest, first, and alphabetical order. Speaker test option and setting menus, cinematic cutscenes, seasonal cinematic cutscenes can now be skipped. Firing range tac stance status is now indicated on the HUD in the firing range. Mastery emblem unlock requirements are now displayed in the customization menu. Gunsmith attachment filters change filter combination logic to from and to or. Select filters are now reset after each game session. Remove redundant locked and unlocked filters. Filters button now displays actively engaged filters. Clear team pings. Added an option in the ping wheel to clear squad pings. This option will clear all pings from a player's screen. This means that the player's own pings will be deleted while squad members' pings will be cleared only from the player's perspective. That is huge, so we don't have to ask, hey, can you clear pings? Can we unping that by? Don't have to ask that anymore. Custom perk pack flow, quality of life. When creating a new loadout, if no custom perk packages exist, one will be created with the starter perks and equipped. If a custom perk package does exist, the new loadout will use the player's first custom perk package. That's super nice. Hold to stow duplicate items improve. Users can now hold to stow items that they have already equipped. Improved ranked messages when kicked. Added more clarity to ranked messaging when kicked due to incomplete squad. Redeploy pack and gulag token conversion and loot feed. When redeploy packs and gulag tokens are converted to money when the gulag closes, the money will now appear on the loot feed. Prestige levels display quality of life. Prestige levels will now be shown in Warzone progression over time. And then bug fixes. I'm going to skip as well. If you want to read through bug fixes, I don't think there's anything super important. I said I wasn't going to read them, but I'm skimming them really quick. There's nothing super important. So those are all of the changes coming. I like that they are looking to change the SMG meta, except it still looks like the HRM is going to be the meta, so not too much. It just really took 2 guns out of the meta, which is unfortunate. I like to see that it looks like the RAM is out of the meta and that they're working on making MW2 guns better, which is something I'm definitely excited for. I want all guns to be viable, kind of like we had towards the end of Warzone 1, where there was guns from every game that were viable. But those are all the changes. Like I said, this will be linked down below. So on my Twitch, I will be live tonight, hopefully earlier than usual, hopefully by 7 o'clock at the latest. We'll see. And I also have my other social medias linked down below. So if you want, check those out. If you don't like this long of a video, I usually do shorter ones on TikTok and Instagram, going through all the patch notes, intel drops, and all that. They're still fairly long for TikTok, but they are shorter. So check out my other social medias if you do feel so inclined. Always appreciate that. But I will see you on Rebirth Island and Urzikstan. Get frying. Have a good day.